Welcome everyone to another edition of JDM Racing, this time in Sergio Perez country. It's Mexico for round 20, and we're about to hop into the car as we see ourselves getting ready there in the garage for Q1 coming up next. Here we go then, Q1 coming towards the end of the lap, and it's not a terrible lap by any means, but the car just hasn't felt massively quick either in practice or any of the practice sessions, and some of the runs that we've done in Q1 we haven't managed to hook the lap up. So we'll see what we manage to do as we come over the line. So it was enough to get us just inside the top 10 towards the end of the session there, but as the track has improved in those last couple of minutes, people have overtaken us. Homeboy Sergio Perez fastest at the end of Q1. Piastri also down the back as usual. The same story as we join on board in Q2. The car not feeling fantastic under us, and also we've had massive problems with traffic, not being able to get a clean run, as we saw just trying to get past Valtteri Bottas there in the Alfa Romeo, and that's unsettled us then. Completely missing apexes, braking way too late, just completely out of the rhythm, and that I believe is going to cost us big time when it comes to crossing the line. That's confirmed then. That 16th place was all we could manage, certainly towards the end of that session, so we've got real work ahead of us for Sunday. Lando Norris looking quick in that McLaren as well. He was fastest in Q2. It's going to be tough, but if anyone can pull a result out of the bag, it's us.
It's time then for the Mexico City Grand Prix, a race which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther winning from third on the grid. Red Bull have been strong here in recent seasons, but can they keep that record going today? The Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, 2.6 miles of track that allows drivers to take full advantage of their cars, reaching speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour, and providing lots of opportunities for overtaking. The circuit features 17 corners, 10 to the right, and the remaining 7 going to the left. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and starting next to them is George Russell. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Carlos Sainz, and Perez. Ricciardo, Fernando Alonso, Gasly, and Esteban Ocon. Vettel, Magnussen, Mick Schumacher, and Verstappen. Bottas, Gardner, Yuki Tsunoda, and Guan Yu Zhou. Stroll, Oscar Piastri, Albon. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. And Nicholas Latifi. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today. Why don't we kick off by discussing Max Verstappen? They need to win in order to ensure they stay in contention for the championship. Anything outside that, and their fate is no longer in their hands.
The key now will be to keep in the right mindset. We've seen time and again that things go wrong if you just try and do the minimum. Not necessarily because of the pressure, but because it's different to your usual approach. They'll need to avoid that and stay focused today.
The formation lap gets underway, and every driver will be looking to settle in for the race ahead, making sure that
So then, we start way down the field. It'll be interesting to see the McLaren in the middle of that Mercedes and Ferrari sandwich, whether Lando will be able to take the lead and get out in front, or if Mercedes are going to be able to keep a lock on the front of things, the lead of the race there. But as far as us, we're stuck way down the pack. We're going to have to fight our way through. Pace in general has not looked fantastic for us this weekend, but as is the case and has been the case for most of the season, Saturday It's generally not been as strong for us, and then we generally tend to pull it back in the racecraft side of things and race results. So anywhere near the points, again, would be a bonus. Not a terrible getaway, but I mean, we're getting mugged off on the straights here down into turn 1, but we do dive bomb and manage to just chuck the nose up the inside of the corner, and again just using as much room as we can find on the outside, switching back, taking a lot of people through the corners, but as soon as we get to the straight we're losing speed. People are pulling on us, and that Alpine getting down the inside. We just try and nudge ahead at the apex to try and get through, bump Verstappen a little bit on the way, and also just pushing that AlphaTauri out as well. So trying to make positions where we can, and now looking to move forward. Here's the replay of the start then. All Mercedes front row once again. Hamilton on your right, George Russell on your left. And it looks like Hamilton got a fairly good getaway. Russell alongside down into turn 1. It looks like Russell might be just ahead there. Yeah, he takes Hamilton into the first turn, and now the Ferrari has bustled its way into second place. So Russell leads, Hamilton second. Hamilton still battling with the Ferrari there of Carlos Sainz, and he's back into second again. So the grid, the running order trying to shake itself out. George Russell has got the lead of the Grand Prix at the moment.
Nice overtake. DRS is being enabled this lap. Use DRS when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
Getting a couple of overtakes done then on Verstappen and Alonso, but Alonso coming back at us on the outside down into turn 1. We try and get on the brakes late, take a big chunk of curb just to try and keep that position as we now move on and try to chase down the Ferrari. But we've got to be aware of the DRS. Alonso is looking quick in a straight line behind us. So into the end of lap 4, and George Russell's 2-second lead back to the Ferrari of Carlos Sainz in second place has evaporated, and the Ferrari is closed right up on that Mercedes. I don't know where George Russell's pace has gone. The pace has just disappeared. And George Russell is now going to try and defend the lead into lap 5 from the Ferrari, who's going to have DRS. Down into turn 1, Carlos Sainz. Couldn't really make it stick. Closing up with the DRS, but again, can't get close enough to that Mercedes to make an impression. But the field is bunched up pretty tightly. Rejoining the cockpit cam, or the T cam I should say. And we've closed right up on Charles Leclerc, going through the S's in the back half of the circuit. Getting really close, but then a little bit out of shape and offline. we had to readjust, and we've lost time to him again now. Coming down to the last DRS zone of the lap. George Russell, Carlos Sainz dives down the outside. Can he make it stick? Oh, he's switched back. He's now got the line to the inside, and Carlos Sainz has taken the lead of the Grand Prix on lap 5. So Sainz from Russell from Hamilton, and now Hamilton might have feel like he can have a go at his teammate as well. Two Mercedes side by side, both with DRS down the pit straight. We've got Lando Norris and Sergio Perez in the background there as well. Hamilton takes second, and George Russell now slipping down the order, and Lando Norris has taken him as well. So Russell hemorrhaging positions. I don't know if he has an issue with that car or what's going on, but from leading comfortably, he's now dropped down the order. Perez looks like he's going to have a go at him as well. Moves to the outside, can't quite get the move done there, tucks back in. Charles Leclerc there in the background as well. And we can see from our vantage point that the McLaren of Lando Norris has caused a bottleneck, and we actually take off the track to get round Ricciardo and have to give the place back. That's actually made us back off a little bit now, but we're going to try and get Ricciardo down the inside whilst trying to be overtaken by another car. Absolute craziness. So Lewis Hamilton hot on the heels of Carlos Sainz on lap 6. Are they going to try and are they going to blink first here? Yes. Mercedes are out in the pit lane. Hamilton pits from second place. He's going to try and undercut the Ferrari. So there's a lot of activity in the pit lane there. So Hamilton rejoins, and now it's hammer time. He's going to have to do a qualifying lap and hope that it's enough to get in front of Carlos Sainz whenever he pits, which I imagine they're going to cover him off or try to. Here's your race leader Carlos Sainz then on lap 7. As we join the onboard shot. I wonder if Ferrari are going to pit him this lap from the lead of the race. They do. So Sainz in. The McLaren follows suit, as does the Mercedes. So Sainz looked like a fairly decent stop. He rejoins, but just behind the JDM that's just pitting there. And Carlos Sainz now rejoins behind Lewis Hamilton. So it looks like Hamilton may have... Yes, so Hamilton pits, does the undercut, and now rejoins in front of Carlos Sainz. So Mercedes have pulled off a strategy masterclass there. Got their man into the lead of the race. Net, of course, once all the pit stops have shaken out. But this is track position for Lewis Hamilton now. He can dictate the pace of the race from here. In form as well, won the last race.
Like the pit crew are out in the lane and ready to perform their magic on the car. They're going to be aiming to achieve the fastest pit stop time possible.
We're at a sequence right here with Hamilton and Leclerc. That's probably where we're going to come out, somewhere down there around Ricciardo in the lower part of the order, because a lot of people haven't pitted yet still. But George Russell's early pace looks to have evaporated and gone. So we're just going to try and put some pressure on him and see if we can do something about that limping Mercedes as we try to go into turn 1 and take a big massive chunk of curb and get around him. He looks like tyre warm-up is going to be an issue as well as a sick car.
Oscar's coming in for his stop now.
Ricciardo then has managed to get round Russell and is now making a charge at us. That McLaren looking super fast around this track this weekend. Lando Norris up there at the sharp end as well. So Ricciardo gets around us and George Russell looks down the inside, almost slams into the back of Ricciardo. Doesn't quite, but we managed to get round Russell. On board with Sergio Perez at the end of lap 11. Leading the race at this moment. He's gone long though. He started on those mediums, on to lap 12, and is now pitting for hards. So the homeboy rejoins. And there goes the leading 4. And Perez back out into 5th position. Got a fairly decent gap there. Traffic should not be an issue, but interesting that they've gone with the hard tyre rather than the soft.
We're catching the car ahead. Well done, but be aware these tyres need to get us to the end of this race.
And this seems to be a hallmark of our race, is getting in front of cars but then not being able to pull away, as George Russell dives down the inside at turn 1 again. A lot happier on the brakes there it seems, and we're in trouble. Championship leader Charles Leclerc on lap 13 almost comes wheel to wheel, did in fact go wheel to wheel. He comes close there to wiping each other out, but Charles Leclerc trying to hold that second podium place for Ferrari, with Lando Norris, who's looked very feisty this weekend. And it looks like Lando Norris in the McLaren has got the line and has taken that 3rd place. And Leclerc desperately needs those points in his battle with Max Verstappen for the Drivers' Championship. But he stays 4th at the moment. As we close back in on Ricciardo, go for a massive dive bomb and just about managed to get around him, have to take off the track. We didn't have enough room on the exit. Doesn't qualify as a shortcut or anything like that, but Ricciardo was pretty aggressive and we matched that. He then returns the favour on the following DRS straight, and at this stage we notice that fuel consumption is an issue and we are extremely marginal on fuel, so from this point forward we're going to have to save.
The gap to the car in front is less than 1 second now. Well done, let's try and get past in the DRS zone.
we have to start saving fuel as Ricciardo and Russell almost take each other out. Russell's been extremely aggressive into turn 1 on the brakes, and they almost slam into each other, and we just have to kind of take a back seat and not pick up any damage. And we also got the notification there that the engine is starting to suffer with power problems, so real problems now. And that's only compounded by having to let Max Verstappen in the Red Bull through as well. Can't really fight, we have to lift and coast. And really just try and consolidate at least 9th or 10th place. That's what we're looking at right now.
Okay, so we're leading our teammate by 16.4 seconds.
On board with Lewis Hamilton then on the last lap. He has driven a very, very sensible race. Mercedes with the pit strategy got him back in the mix after Carlos Sainz's early pace got them in front. But Hamilton is going to do back-to-back wins for Mercedes in Mexico. That's the 3rd win of the season for Lewis Hamilton, and Mercedes are the form team at the moment. They've really, I don't know if they brought upgrades or what's going on with them, but they really do look to have a very quick race car at this back end of the season.
Great job, Bono. Great job, everyone.
Mercedes have pulled off a great victory here today. Tell me, Ant, how do they manage to achieve this win?
Well, time management probably played quite a large role in the outcome of this one. As ever, it's not just about speed, it's all about maintaining that speed consistently over a stint, over a race distance. So being able to keep up the lap times while still being smooth on the controls and gentle on the tyres, that's really where the race was won today.
After an excellent performance at the Grand Prix, I'm sure there'll be plenty of celebrations tonight amongst the Mercedes team, and they certainly deserve it.
Okay, so Lewis Hamilton wins from Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. Lando Norris 3rd in that McLaren, great result for them. Charles Leclerc fastest lap and 4th in the Ferrari. Perez, Russell and Ricciardo in that midfield battle that we were a part of as well. Max Verstappen managed to get us at the end. We come home 9th, actually managed to pull on Ocon a little bit, who actually got in front of Alonso. So that's great news for Ocon, but Alpine happy to have the point either way. Charles Leclerc remains at the top of the Drivers' Championship from Carlos Sainz. We are firmly 8th, closing in on George Russell, who's having a bit of a problem gaining points it seems. And then 5th place for us, I mean miles apart from anyone else, but Ferrari leading the way in the Constructors. And that brings us to a close, so I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks as always for watching. Stay tuned for more JDM racing content or wrestling content. I'll see you next time.
Oh, bye-bye.